Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so trying to get my mind wrapped around what the Lakers are supposed to do tonight. I hope that D'Lo is ready to give us another one of those performances tonight, man. Since Bron ain't gonna be there, you get the ball in your hands. Let's go. You know what I mean? Show us why you should not be traded. They got the report saying that the Lakers are slightly less likely to trade D'Lo based on how well he's playing, which I don't buy at all. But hey, man, whatever works, keep balling. You know, I think if D'Lo really don't want to be traded, go ahead and get your career high tonight. Go over 50 tonight. You know, that's what's going to be required. It's a good defense like the Clippers. Players like Kawhi Leonard. You drop 50 points on Kawhi Leonard, and we're going to be singing an entirely different tune. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's required. That's exactly what's required of him. To step outside his body and stay there for a while. And every passing game he does that, the less likely it is the Lakers will feel as confident about trading him for some of the stuff that may be on the table at this point. So I'm rooting for him to do that. I mean, I'm rooting for him to always play well since he's a Laker, homegrown Laker. You know, I think Swaggy P's the only person still mad about that snitching situation. I'd like to think that man has grown up since then. Wouldn't do that in 2024, even though he shouldn't have did it then. But you know, I saw Swaggy's little post on D'Lo, man. I saw that. D'Lo said, "Imagine me crying, I'm a gangster." And Swaggy posted, "Nah, you a B word." So it's one of those situations where it's like, nah, I don't know, man. I think Swaggy should go ahead and let that go, man. I do like what Swaggy's doing, though. He's definitely in the media himself these days. I get a crack up of what he's got going on in his IG page every day. Corner ends. I'm not going to say the N word on here, but corner ends and all that. It's funny. I encourage everybody to go check out his content because it is kind of funny. But, you know, it's one of those situations where, to be honest with you, I think we live in a world, man, where D'Lo is a bad guy for telling what Swaggy did, but Swaggy's not held accountable for what D'Lo was essentially pointing out, which was him being unfaithful to his lady. And I just think that in a perfect world, we send a little more energy towards Swaggy to be more loyal. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you definitely want to make sure that D'Lo understands, and I'm sure he does now, but back then, why that is a very unlikable and also disloyal thing for him to do. Both of them were being disloyal, and both of them needed to be given hell for that. And I think in the world we in, you ain't gonna give hell to the other guy. You're just gonna give hell to D'Lo. And I don't know if that's true loyalty when you, or rather holding someone accountable for not being loyal. I don't think you can do one without the other. So Swaggy, I think, is kind of slid under the radar because of the evil world we're in, to where he wasn't held accountable for his end of that bargain. But D'Lo was, and I never really spoke up on that. But it is what it is, man. I just feel like D'Lo is one of them dudes where I don't know how he was raised, but if he was raised where I was raised, he would have never even thought to do that at that time. That's just not something we do out here in LA. And Swaggy's from where I'm from, more or less. Swaggy, if I'm not mistaken, went to Grant. I think he went to Grant High. From my generation, went to USC. I knew people who knew him, that kind of thing. So I already know what cloth he's cut from to a degree. And in LA, we do not do that. We don't do that. That is going to be something that we'll look at ourselves in the mirror and say, who raised us if we were to do that? And I know D'Lo's from Kentucky, totally different world. But I'm telling you, LA dude, you would have never did that, bro. Not being from out here, you would have never did that. Because you would have known how many different butt whoopings you would have had to take. And how many different ways you would have been shunned. And how many different households you wouldn't have been welcome to eat at after doing that. And I think he learned that lesson the hard way. And he ain't never really going to shake that off, even though he did it when he was so young. I don't think D'Lo was older than 20 when he did that, 19. But as we know, here, you shouldn't be wanting to do nothing like that at 15, bro. I would have known better than do something like that at 13, fam. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's just he just raised different. But you know, it's one of those situations where I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I think D'Lo's still dealing with that. When I was listening to Trevor Lane talk about D'Lo and why D'Lo was offered a 2-year deal versus Gabe Vincent, who was given a 3-year deal. You know, and some of the other players on his team, Rui was given a 4-year deal. Austin was given like a 4-year deal. I genuinely believe that played some part into it. I really do. They didn't necessarily have to, but D'Lo is a more talented player than all those guys. And in this market, based on him being drafted here, based on what we know he's capable of, being the 2nd overall pick, having an all-star appearance in this past, he probably, in theory, should have been offered a better initial deal last summer. Now, granted, he was coming off a bad game, bad playoffs, and has been benched in the playoffs before, because the year before that in Minnesota, he was benched in the playoffs. But I could argue that he could argue that was situational rather than anything other than injuries and him not necessarily fitting based on his weaknesses and what the Timberwolves needed defensively at that position. So with him not scoring like 1,000,000 points, it didn't make as much sense for them to have him on the floor for the Timberwolves in that playoff situation. Versus a guy like Patrick Beverley, who was giving them everything they needed in that situation. Meanwhile, with us, he had the foot injury with the calluses, which I think predated his Laker tenure, which might have been a problem back then in that Minnesota playoff series. So it's like that might have been why he was benched both years, because his performance was bad, and that performance was bad because of those calluses. He could have, in theory, negotiated that was why. And because that was why, he shouldn't be docked for it or what have you. Maybe he wanted a 2-year deal so he can hurry up and turn around and play up his value so he can make more money this upcoming opportunity. I don't know. But if I'm looking at it from afar, I think that his reputation, particularly the fact that he did what he did to Swaggy here in LA, I think that's probably still following him. There's reason to believe that's still following him, man. That he still ain't overcame that as it pertains to people respecting him and giving him the opportunities that he would otherwise deserve based on his talent alone. You know, certain things, I'm not saying Swaggy's a made man in LA or nothing like that, but you did it in a Laker uniform, and ain't nobody here forgot that. Including the Laker brass and Jeannie Buss. They ain't forgot that, and they love Swaggy. Not to say that Swaggy has sway, but you betray one of us, and you best believe we ain't gonna see you the same way. This is LA, you know? It's a lot of secrets in LA, all the way up to the top. So, like, if you can't be trusted there, they ain't gonna treat you like you know what I mean? They ain't gonna treat you right. And so, I don't know this to be the case, but I wonder. So that's what I'm here to say to everybody, man. I just wonder if he's being docked for what he ultimately was proven to have done when he tried to record Swaggy P, and ultimately that cost Swaggy P his marriage with Iggy Azalea. I don't think that is something that Swaggy's gotten over, and I'm willing to bet that most of Laker Nation, that front office hasn't forgotten that. They ain't forgotten that. And might be why he only got a 2-year deal. It might be why they're so quick to trade him away now, rather than look at him as somebody we just should take a chance on. Because even though nobody expects him to do that again, you have to wonder where the disloyalty bleeds into. Like, if you're disloyal in that area, you're going to be disloyal in another area. Can I trust you in any way? And if the answer is no, should I not get in front of that? And so that's a logical thing for anyone to think. And so I think that I told y'all, I don't know if I had a channel back then, I really don't remember, but I know I've mentioned this before. I thought this would be something you'd have a hard time shaking off even in the future. And now that we're in this position where he's getting ready to be traded, even though we know he's playing well, I don't know if he didn't do that, any of this would be happening. Any of it. Like, probably none of it. So, I don't know, you know, it's not fair to carry something somebody did when they was 17 years old into a life where they're like 26 or whatever D'Lo is, 27. You know, when you did something stupid, you learn from it or what have you. But the tricky part is to convince everybody that you learn from it, that's just not who you are as a person. And I don't know how you do that. I really don't know. And when we think about D'Lo, it's very easy for a lot of Laker Nation, and I'm listening to us, forget that happened. Fan base forgot. They don't, I don't think most of the fan base even cares from the Tekashi era since then. So snitching is it's kind of like supported in a lot of cases when it comes to that particular character. Maybe if he did that after Tekashi existed in all of our minds, maybe he would have been received differently for doing it, since so many people co-signed Tekashi and his ridiculousness. But that was before that, and yeah, that was back when everybody looked at that kind of like, the hell are you doing? So, man, I mean, for me, it was just like, look, D'Lo, just as I said, wasn't raised the way I was raised and the way most people from my city are raised. And if he had been, he just simply would have known better to do it. And that was my attitude on that. Like, I was glad I wasn't in that position to where I'm doing some type of dirty work, and then I got somebody that's supposed to be my teammate trying to record me and catch me in incriminating behaviors. Not only stuff that can ruin my relationship, but asking me questions that if the answer is yes, I go to jail. You know what I mean? Trying to be some type of Chris Hansen or something like that. Luckily enough, Swaggy had nothing like that in his closet, but if he did, nobody would be championing either of them. And that's the point. So, it is what it is, man. I just look at D'Lo, and he's fast forwarding into this era, and he talking about why would I be crying? I'm a gangster. What you got to understand is people are questioning your mentality in general because of the fact that you were willing to do that back then. It's like, nah, we don't. If you was a gangster from out here, you wouldn't have did that. There ain't no way in hell you would have did that. You would have known why that was going to be worse for you than probably for him. And even furthermore, ain't no hoods I've ever heard of would have wanted you anywhere near them for doing something like that. Just not nothing like that. You feel me? Not nothing like that. That's police. So, policey, as they say. So, you know what I mean? I feel like if everybody takes care of their responsibilities to be loyal, scenarios like that never manifest in anything. That's what I say to Swaggy P. If you was taking care of your business and being the stand-up man that you was supposed to be to your woman, that kid who did that little snitchy stuff, it would have been nothing for him. It wouldn't have been nothing. Him and his little snaky ways would not have had any consequence on you. But because you was doing too much, you were able to tell him what you shouldn't have did, in confidence that you had done whatever, however, and as a result, things transpired as they did. So I never quite look at Swaggy P like he's the worst person in the world. I think a good portion of men move as he did at that time, at that age, or even in some cases older. People, infidelities, whatever people do. But if you take care of your loyalty aspect, if people look at the loyalty part and whether or not they're trustworthy for doing certain things and then really holding more merit in that area, then a lot of things don't have to transpire negatively after that. People can't out you for doing stuff you ain't doing. Whatever's being done in the dark will be seen in the light. So just got to take care of home, man. Take care of home. If you want to be single or you want to be in an open relationship, find you somebody you can do that with. But, don't rule out the karma part of it. The if you're a believer in God, don't rule out the fact that he going to expose you however he does. And in Swaggy's case, it was by way of D'Lo and D'Lo's policey ways. really, 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 really policey ways, man. So that's the problem, D'Lo. That is the problem, bro. Now we looking at you saying, do we want this dude in our organization even now? Has he grown up from this? If he has grown up from this, and how much so? And will it still be something that he does any moment now that messes up his locker room situation and destroys our locker room? I don't think so. If it was something that I thought he was going to do in the locker room, I would have said it sooner. I think he's been good. I think he learned his lesson. Whatever. I think he's grown now. He's in his own marriage, and he got his own way to try to prove to his own wife that he ain't like that. So, it is what it is. But when it comes to a professional environment, you trying to revisit that same professional environment. Come on, man. You know how it's LA, bro. we don't do that. We don't condone that. So that's pretty much it, man. I know we're in the internet era with me saying we don't condone that. You can look on the internet and see right now people representing this city the wrong way, doing crazy stuff right now, literally right now. So If you check the internet long enough, you know what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, to our core, to what we're supposed to be in Los Angeles, we're supposed to be loyal. That's it. We're supposed to be. Whether or not we live up to that from person to person to person, I don't know. But yeah, that's what it's about. So telling on your teammates, people ain't gonna let that go. That's the moral of the story. Whether they should or should not, they're gonna hold that over your head for as long as you allow them to, basically. So that's what I gotta say, man. That's pretty much it. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. Bye.